Have you ever stared at a patch of dry, cracked dirt in your yard and thought nothing could ever grow there again? What if I told you that you could completely revive that dead soil in just 3 days? And what if the solution was cheaper and far more powerful than any expensive bag of chemical fertilizer? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into the incredible hidden world of soil regeneration. I am going to show you how dropping 1,000 ordinary worms into lifeless dirt can trigger a biological miracle. It sounds crazy, right? But it works. I guarantee you will never look at a bag of synthetic plant food the same way again. In fact, I have to ask you right now, do you currently use synthetic fertilizers or do you prefer natural methods? Let me know your honest opinion down in the comments, because the secret we are revealing today might just change your mind forever. To truly understand why this method is so powerful, we have to look back at how nature originally designed things. For millions of years, the Earth did not need factories to produce nitrogen or phosphorus. Forests and prairies grew massive and lush entirely on their own. The secret was a vibrant, underground ecosystem, driven largely by earthworms. Charles Darwin actually spent almost 40 years studying earthworms. He called them the most important creatures in the history of the world. But in the 20th century, the agricultural industry discovered how to synthesize plant nutrients in a laboratory. It was fast, it was highly profitable, and it completely changed how we grow food. We traded nature's slow, steady perfection for a quick chemical fix. Over time, these harsh chemicals stripped the natural life out of our local gardens, leaving us with dead, compacted dirt. We completely forgot about the humble earthworm. But today, we are bringing nature's ultimate soil engineers back to the front lines. So let us expose the big secret of the gardening industry right away. Why is the method of using 1,000 worms in just 3 days practically hidden from mainstream advice? The answer is simple: money. Every spring, millions of gardeners rush to the store. They buy heavy bags of synthetic fertilizers. They spend a fortune on blue powders and chemical liquids. These products promise a lush green garden. But here's the truth they do not want you to know. Chemical fertilizers are like junk food for your garden. They give your plants a quick sugar rush. The plants look great for a few weeks. But underneath the surface, these chemicals are slowly destroying the natural life in your dirt. They burn up the organic matter. They kill off the beneficial microbes. Eventually, your dirt turns into lifeless dust. This creates a cycle of dependency. You have to keep buying more and more fertilizer every single year just to keep your plants alive. It is a brilliant business model for the big agricultural companies, but it is a terrible deal for you and your plants. Now, imagine a bright alternative. Imagine a natural solution that fixes the root cause of the problem. A solution that builds a permanent, self-sustaining ecosystem in your backyard. That is exactly what happens when you introduce an army of earthworms. You break the cycle completely. You stop renting your soil health and start owning it. Now, let us talk about this incredible army. What actually happens when you unleash 1,000 hungry worms into a patch of dead, compacted dirt? It sounds like a lot, but 1,000 worms is the perfect strike force. Think of them as tiny, tireless biological bulldozers. When you place them in the ground, they immediately go to work. They do not take coffee breaks. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As they move, they tunnel through the hard earth. This tunneling action physically breaks up the compacted dirt. It is nature's version of a rototiller, but much more gentle and effective. Let me give you a clear picture. Imagine trying to push a sponge into a solid brick. It is impossible. Dead soil is like that brick. Water just runs right off the top. But as our 1,000 worms dig their tunnels, they turn that solid brick back into a porous sponge. These tunnels create microscopic highways for oxygen and water to travel deep down to the roots of your plants. This is crucial. Without oxygen and water penetration, roots literally suffocate and die. The worms do the heavy lifting for you. They open up the ground so it can breathe again. It is a mechanical transformation that happens entirely out of sight, yet the results are absolutely massive for your garden. But how can this possibly work in just 3 days? That is the part that sounds like pure magic, or maybe a gardening myth. Let us bust that myth right now. While you will not have a fully mature compost pile in 72 hours, the biological chain reaction starts immediately. When you add 1,000 worms to a targeted area, the shockwave of life is instantaneous. Within the first 24 hours, the worms begin consuming the decaying matter around them. By day 2, they have already started producing their nutrient-rich waste. By day 3, the physical structure of that specific patch of soil has fundamentally changed. The tunnels are dug. The air is flowing. The first batch of fresh nutrients has been delivered directly to the root zone. A great way to visualize this is to think of a clogged drain. When you pour a harsh chemical down a drain, it takes a while to dissolve the blockage. But if you use a mechanical snake to clear the pipe, the water flows freely almost instantly. The worms act like that mechanical snake for your dirt. They instantly open up the pathways. In just 3 short days, a completely dead patch of ground goes from being completely suffocated to actively breathing. The rescue mission is accomplished, and the healing process is locked in and accelerating. Now we need to discuss the real treasure. We need to talk about worm castings. That is just a fancy scientific term for worm poop. This is the main reason why this method is infinitely better than store-bought fertilizer. Worm castings are universally known among master gardeners as black gold, and for very good reason. When a worm eats dead leaves, food scraps, or even cardboard, a magical process happens inside its belly. The worm's digestive system coats this organic matter with beneficial enzymes and bacteria. What comes out the other end is a supercharged, perfectly balanced plant food. Let us compare it to synthetic fertilizer. Chemical fertilizers hit your plants hard and fast. They can easily burn tender roots if you use just a little bit too much, but worm castings are completely different. They are encased in a microscopic mucous membrane. This means the nutrients are released slowly, exactly when the plant needs them. It is literally impossible to burn your plants with worm castings. You could plant a seed in 100% pure worm poop, and it would thrive. Imagine a wilting, sad tomato plant. If you pack a handful of fresh castings around its base, the transformation is stunning. Within days, the leaves perk up and turn a deep, vibrant green. It is the ultimate natural medicine for struggling plants. Of course, you cannot just throw 1,000 worms onto hot, dry pavement and expect a miracle. You have to set the stage. You must create an environment that makes them want to stay and work. If the conditions are wrong, worms will simply pack their bags and slither away. So how do you build a 5-star hotel for your new underground workforce? It is actually incredibly simple. Worms need 3 basic things to survive. They need moisture, oxygen, and food. First, the soil must be damp, like a wrung-out sponge. If it is too dry, they cannot breathe through their skin. If it is soaking wet, they will drown. Next, you need a layer of organic mulch on top. This is their roof and their dining room. You can use shredded brown cardboard, dead leaves, or aged compost. This layer protects them from the hot sun and hungry birds. It also provides a steady food source as it breaks down. Imagine you are stranded in a desert. If someone builds you a shaded tent and provides daily meals and fresh water, you are never going to leave that tent. That is exactly what you are doing for the worms. By prepping the area with just a little bit of moisture and a thick blanket of organic matter, you lock them into the target zone. They will stay right where you put them, happily transforming your dead soil into paradise. Here is another fascinating secret about this process. The worms are not actually working alone. They bring an entire invisible army with them. This is the hidden synergy that chemical companies completely ignore. When you introduce 1,000 worms, you are also introducing billions, yes, billions, of beneficial bacteria and fungi. These microscopic helpers travel on the skin of the worms and in their digestive tracts. Think of the worms as the heavy machinery that builds the roads. The bacteria and fungi are the delivery trucks that travel on those roads. The worms dig the tunnels and leave the castings. Then, the microbes take over. They break down the nutrients even further, making them microscopic enough for the plant roots to drink. This creates a powerful biological web underground. There is a common myth that all fungi and bacteria in the garden cause diseases. That is completely false. Over 90% of soil microbes are strictly beneficial. In fact, plants cannot properly digest food without them. It is just like the probiotics in your own stomach. Without good bacteria, you cannot digest your dinner. The worms deliver these crucial probiotics straight to the roots. Together, the worms and the microbes create a self-feeding loop of life that gets stronger and stronger every single month. Let us take a moment to look at the financial side of this secret. The math is going to blow your mind. When you realize the cost difference, you will understand exactly why this method is kept so quiet. Let us say you spend $50 on premium synthetic fertilizers and soil amendments this season. Once those nutrients are washed away by the rain, that money is gone forever. You have to go back and spend another $50 next season. It is a never-ending subscription fee for a struggling garden. Now, let us look at the worm strategy. You can buy 1,000 live composting worms, like red wigglers, for about $30 to $40 online. This is a one-time investment. Let me repeat that. It is a one-time investment. Because worms are living creatures, they do something chemical fertilizers can never do. They multiply. If you keep them happy under their blanket of mulch, your initial 1,000 worms will turn into 2,000 in just a few months. They constantly reproduce, meaning your biological workforce grows for free. Imagine buying a bottle of fertilizer that magically refills itself every week. That is what you get with worms. The value is absolutely unmatched. You are not just feeding your plants for one season. You are permanently repairing the soil infrastructure for decades to come. So, how do you actually start this soil revolution in your own backyard right now? The process is surprisingly easy, and it takes very little physical effort. First, choose the patch of dead soil you want to revive. Maybe it is a raised bed that failed last year, or a dry corner of your yard. Take a garden fork and gently loosen the top few inches. Do not flip the dirt, just crack it open a little bit. Next, soak the area with water so it is nice and damp. Then lay down a thick layer of wet, shredded cardboard and some kitchen scraps, like banana peels and coffee grounds. Now it is time for the magic. Gently empty your box of 1,000 worms directly onto the organic matter. Do not bury them. Just let them naturally hide themselves away from the light. Finally, cover the whole area with a thick layer of straw or dried leaves. That is it. Your work is completely done. Now you just step back and let nature take over. In 3 days, gently pull back the straw. You will see that the worms have already pulled the organic matter down into the earth. The soil will look darker. It will smell like a rich, vibrant forest floor. You have successfully sparked a biological wildfire. You have revived the dead earth, and your plants are going to reward you with explosive, healthy growth. So, there you have it. The ultimate hidden gardening secret is officially out. You do not need to spend a fortune on fancy chemical powders to have a lush, beautiful garden. By introducing 1,000 worms to your dead soil, you are unlocking a 3-day biological chain reaction. You are breaking up hard dirt, delivering slow-release nutrients through black gold, and establishing a permanent self-feeding ecosystem of beneficial microbes. It is truly a massive paradigm shift. It takes the power away from the massive fertilizer companies and puts it right back into your hands, exactly where nature intended it to be. Thank you so much for watching and learning with us today. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our natural gardening secrets. Now, I have a question for you to answer in the comments. Are you going to try adding worms to your garden this season? And what plant are you most excited to feed with this black gold? Let us get a great conversation going below.